The next keynote speaker comes from Reaktor, PhD Johan Himberg. Come on the stage, please. Which of you have heard of Helsingin yliopisto and Reaktor cooperation, where they build this learning environment called, Elements of AI? Have you heard of that? Big thanks for you and the university community for doing such a great job. The floor is yours. Oh, you are going to change the PC there. So, have you already visited Twitter? During the next break, I will have a look what type of questions there are. Which of you have already written questions there? Couple hands up. So please be active. We will pick questions from you as well from Twitter. Is the technology working there? Looks like. And hey, one more practical thing I forgot to mention in the very beginning. Is the screen sharing working, by the way? Not yet. Let's see. So there is a video camera right there on the back wall. So if you do not want to be on video, don't come on the stage. But all this will be videoed, recorded, and Goethe-Institut will be then sharing links to the recordings afterwards. Now it seems to be working. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning. Am I online? Good morning, everybody. So I'm from the upstairs. Our headquarters are here. Reaktor is a software company, so we do software design, technology consultancy here in Helsinki and in various cities around the world. We are some 500 to 630 of us are practitioners of artificial intelligence. We have done that. I have done that for 20 years, so this is not a new thing. It's an old thing, an old technology, basically. Let's start with a definition that we can all agree. This is artificial intelligence, and this is fiction. Artificial intelligence in the sense that we like to believe and think and have deep metaphysical questions does not exist. But we can agree that this is some kind of a vision of artificial intelligence, unquestionable. Let's go to this day. This is a thermostat. It's run by a simple algorithm. It has a goal to maintain static temperature. It has means of regulating the temperature. And it senses the temperature. Is this artificial intelligence? How many think this is an artificial intelligence? None. But it shares many of the most important factors of a definition of artificial intelligence called definition of a rational agent, rationally artificially intelligent agent. The things that we kind of miss here just are that it should learn and it should also be able perhaps to change the goal. That's all. So we are not talking about responsible agent when we do the contemporary AI things. They are machines, complex machines. If we are happy with this definition, so we are not going to define AI as a human-like creature, an animal-like creature, or anything like that, or think about rules of cognition or anything. We require just adaptivity and being autonomous, active being. So if we have plenty of these, then we think that, okay, maybe this product or thing is artificially intelligent. For example, AlphaGo Zero is kind of a leading edge of AI research in practice. Then we do things in practice like recommendation engines that recommend things in Netflix or so. They are kind of barely AI, and if you ask marketing people, they are definitely AI. Even linear regression or statistical things tend to be AI nowadays. And the poor thermostat is there on the corner, and then there in the upper corner would be the imaginary general AI that does not exist yet. And the border is changing all the time. The things that we think are now AI won't be that tomorrow, because the technology has changed. We always look for something new. So I'm talking now about the way that a word AI is used everywhere now. I'm talking about that. I'm not saying that one shouldn't think of responsible agents, or one shouldn't research general AI, or that it wouldn't be important. This is just how the word AI is currently used. And it's used in the way that AI, it can't be a being. It's simply about creating features using dozens of approaches and methods. So it's kind of an amalgam of technology. It's a discipline. You can have more or less intelligence in a product, but it's not a being. So it's a composite of design, engineering, decisions, programmed rules always, then maybe some machine learning or statistics, maybe even deep learning, which is a fraction of machine learning. It's only a fraction of the things that we do in this business. And then, of course, data that the machine learning requires. So what's the big fuss then? Why we are so worried about things right now? I give you a demonstration, hopefully. So this year there was a kind of a big thing that OpenAI, which is doing AI research in practice. I think that their budget or funding is around $2 billion or something like that, and the budgets are big in other companies. So they are doing the leading edge AI research. They said that they have an algorithm that is so frightening that it cannot be published. Well, of course it is published, and you can access it and see what it does. Not the biggest one, but let's say half of it. And let's see now, I downloaded the software and took this, the text that text that is used to introduce this session. So the text from the website as a seed for the GPT-2, and let's see what happens. What was the text that it produced? So it tries to imitate the theme and the text. Let's see now.
Our goal is to promote AI and to make it possible to achieve a fair sharing of resources between society, individuals and other species, as well as between AI and humanity as a whole. We believe there is no greater challenge for AI than to overcome the conflicts that currently exist between human and AI. This is what drives us to develop and produce tools that enable machines to do many of the repetitive tasks, and to enable the machine to help humans. Our mission is to advance these issues of social, moral, and ethical responsibility, both for society as a whole, and for those people who are in the least privileged position in society.
This was a deception. This was a big deception, because the model itself is of course fascinating, and it has latent factors that describe how text is generated. But the agent there is nothing more than a random generator. It takes a piece of text and then it counts the probability of the next word, and then it just shuffles. And as surprising as it is, so simple thing can generate quite remarkable text. But the next time I pressed enter, it started to talk about evangelical gathering in this room by some church representatives, or something quite absurd. So we were lucky with this. So this is both fascinating and it is kind of silly. So the thing is that lately, some of the problems that were coined in the beginning of AI era are being solved in a way. So computer was kind of done 1948 was the first programmable computer. AI and machine learning were coined just 10 years after that. Then there has been a cycle, a series of hype cycles and AI winters. First, one tried rules of cognition, didn't recognize cats. Expert systems, let's have a deductive database, rules, didn't recognize the cat. Okay? Neural networks came, barely recognizes the cat, but some problems. And then again, deep learning. Now it recognizes cats and dogs, and it can generate text, translate, and so forth. But there is another thread which is more important that is going beneath here, and that's the stream of digitalization. Internet, open source software, cloud computing. You don't need to have a mainframe computer. You can have a hell of a lot of computing power just by using your Visa card. Big data, platform economy. So there is a big change going on which is called digitalization, and AI, as we speak now about it, is just a thread of it. And it will be there in the future, whether or not we call it AI. Oh, will there be a winter or an apocalypse after that? You decide yourselves. I believe that there will be a winter, and we should still continue discussing the digitalization and related stuff even when this hype dies out. A reminder, not everything in this business is about deep learning and fancy stuff. Here is the website of Wiley Arena, where you can see programs and watch news. We all know that Netflix and media companies recommend programs. Those recommendations are based on, if you wish, to big data and algorithms. But these algorithms are not deep learning. They might be complex, but the technology is something completely different. Among other companies, we have helped Wiley to do the kind of recommendation system. And one thing here is that, for example, that you can read from Wiley website how this is made on layman terms. And one thing, for example, is that in this in this list is also journalistic decisions. They take some programs that are actually put there manually, and some of them are recommended. Other things that the good side of the AI is, for example, I can talk about my experiences lately, is that we have been, for example, helping a medical company, Orion, to make better medicines or help them to use AI technologies, how to use them in their business of making good medicines, or then, for example, helping a bank using data in analytics while preserving privacy. So these are ongoing things, they have been ongoing things for decades. So one thing about AI is that it's just software, but all software is complex. They are really complex machines. But for example, if we took that GPT-2, it's a complex machine done in collaboration. But you can actually take a look to the code. You can go to the internet and upload the code and see how it works. They have model cards, they explain the caveats and so forth. Transparency and open source is a kind of ever-growing tendency in software business. This is one way to assess the AI. But one has also to remember that software, because the digitalization is so fast and the software is so complex, we solve it by agility. So we make decisions in hybrid teams all the times, hundreds of decisions in a day. So the ethics should be brought there. And how to cope with bias. I see that I have a computer science professor here, so correct me if I'm wrong. Bias is in the data, in a way. One thing to remember is that when we do data-driven decisions by statistics, political decisions by politicians or business leaders, they also use statistics. That is biased also in the very similar manner that the data that we put into computers. So it's not so that we will be making unbiased decisions and the computers are making biased decisions. They have to be designed so that we respect the kind of skillful art of statistics. Machine learning without knowing statistics and probability theory becomes quakery, that's for sure. Okay, some current problems and challenges. This is probably something that we can take very briefly because the ethics was considered previously and many of them came up here. But one of the things to remember is that whether we talk about AI or not, current digital systems all contain algorithms and they are really complex. How do airline companies mitigate the risk and responsibility if there is a crash? So that kind of mechanisms and traditions probably are going to be in this AI responsibility game. We cannot necessarily control AI as such because it's a mess in a way. It's a composite of things. But we can control easily, for example, airliners, vehicles, medical business, media. We can have their regulations and they should be respected, and then the digital systems are kind of put into that context. So yes, there is the course of elements of AI. This was just a very surfacing thing about AI. But elements of AI has turned out to be really popular. There are now some 200,000 students registered from, I think it was 110 countries. This is now on 3 languages, and 40% of the registrants are female and 25% over 45 years old. So this is a really popular thing. And maybe this is localized to some major Central European languages. So that helps because it takes a bit time to familiarize oneself to the basics. I took here an approach which is a bit similar to that course. So the idea is to give means of voting, reading media, understanding products. Okay, short summary. So we are already cyber organisms. We are kind of networked amalgams, people, organizations, machines, algorithms. And the problem is that, is there any in this new kind of digital world with high degree of autonomy, is there actually a way of having some kind of a central command that keeps actually up with the speed of the development? So one thing is to get some virtues, some code of conduct to those people who are doing data science, software engineering, and even AI. So we are hybrid teams, so the decisions are made there. We cannot predict all of the transformational effects and plan ahead for them necessarily, but we can do our best to make the decisions in a proper manner on the spot. So the biggest benefit of this hype cycle for the public discourse is that whether or not we call things in future AI, these same big themes remain with the digitalization. So we should have a kind of, and that's the nice thing here, that this AI discussion creates a common enemy or a common vision that unites us to talk horizontally about things. And that's a good thing, even if this kind of vocabulary changes in the future. Is anything done? Yes. Different unions take heed on this matter, and there is, for example, IEE, Computer Society, or our labor union, that we have actually code of conduct for engineers. Thank you. So thank you for your attention. I hope you all take the Elements of AI course if you haven't done that yet. It's a good course even for a professional like me. I have done it.
Thank you, Johan, and I actually forgot to mention the thank yous for Reaktor, who is one of the enablers of the event today. Thanks, Johan.